Hola bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic Official. I'm Magic Mel, and this is Al, one of my spirit guides. Welcome to episode 21 of season 6, and we're almost done. We are on a roll in season, we've got one more episode to go. So it's Sunday here in Spain. I thought, why not hit the record button? I was gonna do your reading for the new moon in Taurus, no, but I'm not here at Mel's Magic Official. Maybe in other channels, they're quite dogmatic about when, okay, I'm going to make 5 recordings every week for each sign. I'm not like that. I literally tap into my energy, and when my inspiration says go, I press record. If not, you don't hear from me. So you always have to stay tuned. And yeah, I just wanted to check in with you. I had a interesting past few weeks. It keeps on saying that it was going to rain. Oh, we're doing some chit chat here. The weather forecast keeps on saying that it will rain, so I pack in all of the furniture, like the garden furniture. I'm like, okay, ready. And then nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pack it out because the moment I pack it out, it's probably going to rain. So I've been like just taking care of the house, cleaning, doing some more organizing of paperwork. But my 6-week Marie Kondo stint is officially 99% over. And guess what? It feels amazing. I'm like, I don't even want new stuff. I just want to enjoy the spaciousness. And I've been reflecting on that a lot. What I value these days. And I went on one of my walks, and interestingly enough, while I was reflecting, it's like the universe always comes up with signs or messages to either guide you or bring something from your subconscious into your awareness. So as I was walking, there was handwritten in the sand on the path the word libertad. And I picked up and I'm like, oh, cool. Somebody, maybe a kid wrote libertad or a teenager. But then it really made me reflect on my values. And freedom is one of the big things. So I thought, what does libertad mean for me? ¿Qué significa libertad para mí? Was bedeutet Freiheit für mich? And it has to do with spaciousness. The freedom to wake up more or less when I want, although my German clock, bio clock, is in there, and around 7 o'clock it switches on automatically. But still, the freedom to wake up when I want, not having to go to any meetings, to literally structure my day the way I want it to be. The freedom to engage with people as I wish, as I please. I'm not obliged to engage with anyone. The freedom of time. The freedom to appreciate, take the time to appreciate things that I would normally not be able to appreciate if I was in a hurry. So coming into spaciousness really comes in relation with slowing down. And let me know if that resonates with you. I feel so many of us are called to slow down. Relating back to my version A of Magic Mel, which was not Magic Mel. Version A was Melanie Kritzka del Villar, very serious artist. There was always this notion that there's not enough time. I guess cultural expectation, at a certain age you have to have achieved this milestone, or you should be married, or you should be, all of these shoulds. That now in this new state of being, time takes on a completely different dimension. Time is not related so much with pressure anymore, unlike before, but more with spaciousness. And that's something I really, really value. And that is something to do with the freedom that I strive for. So libertad, freedom to be ourselves, freedom to have time, freedom to slow down, and to really be, I know it sounds cliche, but to really be present. So having processed the stuck emotions from the past, the traumas from the past, it allows us to be more in the present moment. And it is a paradox because although I am slowing down, I still feel that time is speeding up, and apparently has something to do with just the general frequency of the planet. And so our body's frequency raising, so time is speeding up. Or also with the fact that, we consume a lot of information, or we fill our days with a lot of information that also distorts the notion of time. but essentially has to do with more energy being exchanged. So yes, I'm slowing down, but I still feel that time is somehow accelerating. But what was I going to say? Yes, the capacity to be really in the present moment, that is something that I so appreciate now, because when I was still operating or under the spell of my unprocessed emotions, I was not present. I was in a constant state of anxiety, restlessness, and I feel that I wasn't really free. I mean, that's another topic I want to talk about, not the notion of free will. I don't think we really have free will unless we have arrived at the present moment and untangled ourselves from past traumas. Because in my experience, as long as I was stuck in my trauma, I wasn't really free to make a free choice. My choices were based on a limited perspective that was very much tinted by fear and anxiety, by this notion that I was not enough, that I had to achieve, that the next dangerous thing was just around the corner to get me. So I wasn't really free to make a free choice because the trauma was the baseline energy from which I operated. So now, having processed things and liberating myself from that, it creates inner spaciousness. So that's something I really treasure. And that's something that has to do with freedom. And freedom is an interesting topic. I mean, I guess in the larger sense, we all talk about it. Now we want to be free. But do we really want to be free? Because I notice also the freer, the more liberated I feel, the more responsibility I feel, because essentially there's no one to blame anymore. There's no finger pointing anymore, not even finger pointing to myself. It's like there's only accountability. And I'm not saying that I have the ultimate consciousness, but I'm saying from my present state of consciousness, I am more free and more able to take accountability, because I realize that I am creating everything with my thoughts and my actions. And that doesn't mean that there's not a maybe blueprint for a so-called destiny. I do believe that we come with a certain blueprint, but it's up to us to actually fill in that blueprint, to flesh it out, so to speak, like literally flesh it out, incarnate, no? Oh, guys, I don't know. I'm just in a reflective mode. There's also, I'm continuing my reading of Eisenstein's book, no? Sacred Economy, and he says something interesting which made me think about Pink Floyd's song Another Brick in the Wall, and the word context, which comes from Latin, no? Con, together, and textere, which means weave. Okay, this is another topic. In relation to sacred economy or economy in general, I feel that the danger lies in everything being homogenized, no? So the 3D matrix thrives. It thrives, but we don't thrive. It thrives on us being disembodied, constantly feeling like we're not enough, constantly feeling empty and filling that void, so we consume more, but essentially not really being here in our body, embodied. So why am I talking about context? Because the more I am embodied, the more I'm present, the more I realize that everything is connected, that my thoughts, my actions affect everything else, the more responsibility I feel. But it also means freedom to choose, okay, how am I being this brick in the so-called wall? I mean, it sounds a bit diminutive, no? But let's take that metaphor, or the metaphor of context, that we are a thread in the larger weave of humanity. I even dreamt about it. I take notes of my dreams, and in one of my dreams, this floating sentence came along. I'm just a link in the larger chain of humanity. Now we can take it both ways, no, like I'm nothing but a link, I'm nothing but a thread, I'm nothing but a brick. But if you think about it, we cannot build a cathedral, we cannot build a tapestry if it weren't for that, for each one of those threads, for each one of those bricks. So yes, we are but a brick in the wall of a cathedral, but a thread in the weave of humanity. But there wouldn't be a weave without you. So how strong is that thread? How congruent is that brick? How strong is that brick? Comes back to the microcosm and macrocosm. The microcosm is important. We as individuals are important. And that is, I feel, was what is getting lost now in this globalized world. We always think, we feel like at the mercy of this bigger machinery that we're feeding with our energy, with our money, with our time. And it homogenizes everything. It takes away the sacredness. Remember, we talked about what sacredness means, the uniqueness of each composite, of each ingredient, of each individual, of each being. The uniqueness, the sacredness lies in the uniqueness and in the gifts that each unique being shares with the world. So when we see as everything homogenized, all the diversity, the biodiversity gets lost, but also the just diversity period gets lost because everything gets flattened. And we strive to make ourselves in the image of some utopian perfect image that is not us, that dismisses the uniqueness of us as an individual. And that goes for everything. I mean, have you noticed, in the pandemic, it's quite funny. I really told my mom, okay, I think we need to go into self-sufficiency, self-sufficient mode. And I got a chicken, and I never had a chicken before. And I was so amazed when I realized what a character this chicken was. I never really thought about it. So I realized, call me naive, but I'm like, damn, these chickens have character. I had 3 chickens in the end, and each one was completely different. So just realizing that, our mind puts things into categories, like, okay, chicken, or races, okay, Germans, or Filipinos, and we put everything in a generic box, but we forget that we cannot do that. We're losing the essence of each sentient being. So it goes for animals, it goes even for plants, it goes for everything that's alive. We like to put things in boxes so it makes it easier for our mind to grasp and to categorize and to control things, but the mystery lies in the individuality. So that is something I feel is coming back. We're asking to do, but through our healing. And the healing has to do with coming back into the energy of our own body. I pulled a card for myself yesterday, and it was sacral. Sorry, not sacral, root chakra. I was really thinking about that. The root chakra, it's at the root here. I don't know what the right word is. Basin of our being, of our pelvis. And it has to do with safety, with survival, kind of the basic things, no? But I was thinking about that, about myself. In the past, I never felt really grounded and stable. I never felt really here in my body. I always escaped myself, pushed my consciousness into more the intellectual side, the mind, but I was essentially disembodied. And I'm really working on that and being here in my body. Why am I talking about this? Yeah, freedom. I feel freedom also has to do with this choice of, quoting Shakespeare now, to be or not to be. There's thanatos and there's eros, creation and destruction. And I know they form part of the larger cosmic play, but still we have a choice now. Do we say yes to life, fully commit to life, or not? I feel I wasn't really committed to life before because I was too much in fear. I was always half-assed, giving 50%, not cutting all my anchors from the shore, not saying, vamos allá, vamos a descubrir, because fear held me back. But if you really think about it, I have this memento mori mindset all the time, which is remember your mortality in this physical body. I mean, we are eternal beings, but in this physical vessel, at some point, we're going to exit this physical vessel. So I told myself I at least want to be 106 years old, which leaves me another 66 years of my life. And even that is not that much. So fear keeps me from not fully saying yes to life. But I thought about it. Well, let's just be real. We're going to die anyway. And the tragedy lies in not fully committing to life while we're alive. So for me, the freedom to be myself has to do with being fully in my body, has to do with saying yes to life, like bring it on, pain and everything. We're so scared of pain. And in the meantime, in trying to shield ourselves, we not only shield everything else or block everything else, we block life. We block ourselves from really living. So I really, having liberated myself from my trauma mindset, I'm really saying yes to life now. I'm really consciously working through my fears because I don't want them to hold me back anymore. And those of you who've seen some of my past videos, I don't vilify my fears. I try and work with them, but I really go with my higher self and with my intuition to expand and to grow and to be excited and to be curious about life. Because time does pass pretty damn fast. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but 40 years were like blink. And I just feel like I'm just now coming to life. That's another thing I had to deconstruct my mind, because I feel cultural conditioning is like, oh, at 40 and then at 60 we're like old. I mean, that's all of bullshit. It's really like mindset. I really feel that I'm just coming to life now at 40. Like life starts at 40. It has just begun consciously. So there's a lot to deconstruct, especially under the notion of libertad, freedom, what it means, responsibility, accountability, conscious choices. Yeah, the freedom to spend time and put energy and attention into what we value, what we appreciate. That I feel is also going against the stream, against the system, because we're basically telling the matrix, no, I'm not feeding my time and energy into this anymore. Because it's not only depleting myself, it's depleting the planet and depleting everyone. It's scarcity mindset. In this notion and the story that we tell ourselves, paraphrasing Eisenstein, digesting Eisenstein, the story that we tell ourselves that there's not enough in the world. And in doing so, we're literally destroying the abundance of the planet, which is essentially abundant. There is enough for everyone. And this scarcity mindset not only infiltrates the economy, it starts with ourselves. We constantly feel insufficient, that there's something wrong with us, that we're not this enough, that we need to fit into some perfect image. And I'm not saying, let's not strive to liberate ourselves, become a freer version of ourselves, but there's a difference between that and constantly feeling that we're essentially broken inside, that we need to fix ourselves. That comes from a mentality of lack, that we're insufficient. So bringing back, embodying our individuality, well, first of all, coming back into our body, which is a big one for me. I'm doing it through dancing, really connecting with my body, feminine energy, power of my feminine energy. Less thinking, breathing, paying attention to the small things, paying attention to what's around me, gratitude list, all of that keeps me anchored in the present moment. And that's where our power lies. That's when we can create our new story. That's where we can disentangle from stories, period, and come back just to being. Because a lot of this new earth, new paradigm, new dimension has to do with being more than thinking, coming back into our heart. So that's all the stuff I'm deconstructing at the moment and thinking about. Yeah, but I feel, we really need to value ourselves as individuals, as this keynote, I always say that, keynote in the larger symphony of the universe, this essential brick in the brick of humanity. that is unique and powerful and, yes, essential to the larger weave. What else? That's about it. How about that? Just a few reflections. I'm going to pull some cards for you in the next episode because I feel I'm rolling today. It's Sunday and I want to close this. I want to close season 6. It's been a good one. We're constantly exploring, expanding, being curious about ourselves, allowing ourselves to make mistakes. And that's another thing. I find it's an interesting archive, my videos from starting season 1, because I have evolved in my confidence, in my embodiment, in my sharing. And it never stops, guys. The best is yet to come. This has just begun. So I hope you also find the courage and the dignity to connect with your voice, to see yourself as something so valuable. I hope you create the spaciousness in your life to come back into being and to reassess what is really of value to yourself, to extricate yourself from the cultural context if it is disempowering you, from the family context or narration if it is disempowering you, and to discern for yourself. It's like filtering the sand or the wheat from the shaft, whatever that is. What is useful to you? What resonates for you? It's up to you to choose and to travel light. And in that suitcase of your journey, really carry only the essentials. Because at the end of the day, guys, we won't take things with us. We take our inner being, our soul's aprendizaje with us. Even the body goes. And I keep on reminding myself at the end of each day the 2 questions, essential questions that Osiris or Thoth, I need to look it up again, Egyptian god Osiris or Thoth asks every soul at the threshold of passing into the afterlife. 2 questions. Did you find joy and did you bring joy? Everything else vanishes. Everything else is inconsequential. So those 2 questions I ask myself at the end of each day. And I take each day for what it is, like a clean slate. I liberate myself. I want to see each day as a fresh page of my story, where I consciously write what I want to write, where I consciously pour joy into the pages. Because the story of my life is made up of each day. The cathedral is made up of each brick. The weave of humanity is made up of every thread. And we are that one thread. We are that one brick. Life is this one day. So let's remember, bigger picture. Zoom out, but zoom in also. It's all about the paradox. Okay, I'll leave you with that, and I'll record the next video with some cards. Yeah, sounds good? Remember, I'm a joy coach. I'm many things, guys. I'm an oracle from ancient Egypt, the painter of the numinous, child of Kalima, priestess of Sekhmet, servant of the light, magic Mel, of course, dancer, alchemist of the new earth, and many things to be discovered. Yeah? So remember, we are multidimensional beings. Stay tuned for an episode 22. It's rolling up right after this one, yeah? All in all, I've got your back. Ciao.